Maybe you're not tired of the world. Maybe you're just tired of living the same day over and over again, waking up to the same alarm, scrolling through the same endless stream of noise, saying the same words to the same faces, while pretending everything still feels new. There's a strange exhaustion that comes from repetition. It's not the physical kind that rest can fix, but a deep, quiet fatigue that settles in your soul. It's the kind that comes from knowing exactly what tomorrow will look like, and realizing that you've stopped being surprised by life. We call it burnout or boredom, but it feels like something older, something heavier. It's the weight of living without presence, of moving so fast you forget why you even started, of chasing things that never seem to fill you for long. We've built a world that rewards distraction, a world that tells us we have to keep producing, improving, optimizing, as if stillness was a flaw, as if peace meant failure. So we repeat ourselves. We buy the same comfort, just in different colors. We chase the same validation in new disguises. We try to fill the same void with newer things. And we call that progress. But maybe the real exhaustion isn't from doing too much. Maybe it's from doing too little that actually matters. Too little that truly connects us to something real. Too little that reminds us we're alive. Because when every day looks the same, even beauty starts to blur. Even joy starts to feel artificial, and we begin mistaking comfort for meaning. So what if the way out isn't escape? What if it's attention? What if meaning doesn't come from completely changing your life, but from changing how you look at it? The truth is, you don't need a new world. You just need to see this one again, without the filter of routine, without the numbness of habit, without the autopilot that tells you who to be and what to do. When was the last time you really noticed how light touches a wall in the afternoon, or how the wind feels against your skin, or how the sound of rain carries a rhythm that's older than any language? Those are the moments that remind you that you're still here, still capable of feeling, still capable of wonder. It's so easy to forget that being alive isn't about constant excitement. It's about noticing. It's about remembering that even repetition can hold its own beauty, if you're truly present inside of it. So, maybe you're not tired of the world. Maybe you're just tired of being absent from it. Tired of living half awake. Tired of watching yourself exist instead of really existing. You don't need to reinvent your entire life to start feeling again. You just need to come back to it, to return to awareness, to the simply profound reality of now. Because in the end, the world hasn't lost its color. You've just stopped looking long enough to see it. And when you start paying attention again, you'll realize something quietly miraculous. The world never stopped offering its beauty. You just forgot to accept it. We used to dream of happiness as something simple, a quiet morning, a shared laugh, a sense of belonging that didn't need to be photographed to be real. But somewhere along the way, happiness became expensive. It became a brand, a lifestyle, a perfectly lit image framed for public consumption. Now, it's not enough to feel joy. You have to prove it. You have to curate it, polish it, perform it. Happiness has become something we perform for others, not something we truly live. The world tells you that happiness can be ordered, delivered, streamed, that you can buy peace of mind if you just subscribe to the right mindset, buy the right supplements, book the right retreat, or read the right book written by someone who learned to package serenity. We turned peace into a product and sold it back to people too tired to realize they were never broken. You scroll and scroll through a marketplace of emotions, where everyone is selling their best moments, their filtered smiles, their curated existence, and deep down, you start to feel like you're failing because your happiness doesn't look like theirs. But that's the trick. You're not supposed to win this game. You're supposed to keep chasing because the system needs your dissatisfaction to survive. Every ad, every algorithm, every influencer whispering you deserve better is really saying you deserve to buy more. We've replaced the pursuit of meaning with the pursuit of mood. We want to feel good without understanding why. We want the glow without the growth. We want the serenity without the silence it requires. Happiness isn't a goal anymore. It's an aesthetic, a soft color palette, a morning routine, a quote about gratitude over coffee. But what happens when the photo fades? and the silence returns. When the light hits differently and you realize that your happiness was never about presence, it was about performance. That's when the emptiness creeps in. The quiet kind that no playlist or purchase can fix. Because deep inside, you know you were meant for something more honest than display. You were meant to feel happiness, not manage Italiano. To live it, not brand it. To hold it in your hands like water, knowing it flows, knowing it changes, and loving it even when it leaves. Real happiness is fragile. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't sparkle all the time. It's not a steady hum of positivity. It's a pulse. It comes and goes, and that's what makes it human. But we were taught to fear, to panic when we're not constantly inspired, to label normal sadness as failure. So we chase the next fix, a new project, a new look, a new distraction, and we call that growth when it's really escape. Happiness has become a subscription we renew every month, a mood we manage instead of a mystery we live. We treat peace like a product and wonder why it never lasts. The irony is that the more we chase happiness, the more it runs. Because happiness was never meant to be hunted. It's something that happens in the moments you don't notice because you're too busy recording them. Happiness happens when you stop trying to possess it, when you stop trying to prove it, when you let it appear quietly in the smell of rain, in a shared silence, in a laugh that surprises you. The happiest people aren't the ones who found a secret formula. They're the ones who stopped pretending they needed one. They stopped buying into the myth that fulfillment is something you earn through performance. They realized happiness is not a trophy. It's a moment of truth. When you stop performing happiness, you make space for peace. And peace, unlike happiness, doesn't need to be exciting to be real. So maybe the question isn't, how can I be happy? Maybe it's, who told me I wasn't already allowed to be? The world sells you happiness as a destination. But what if it actually the road itself, uneven, unpredictable, unfinished, but alive? Happiness isn't the absence of struggle. It's the quiet gratitude that you still get to feel, even when it hurts. And when you realize that, when you stop chasing a marketed version of peace and start noticing the real one already breathing within you, you'll see that the most beautiful happiness was never for sale.
Everyone talks about freedom. Everyone says they want it, but very few of us truly understand what it costs. Because being free isn't about doing whatever you want it is. About standing alone when no one is clapping for you anymore. It is about having the courage to walk away from the comforting warmth of approval and learning to live with the silence that follows. You see, from a young age, we're taught to seek validation like it's oxygen. We learn to measure our worth in echoing the reactions of others, in how many people agree with us, like our posts, follow our journey, or simply understand where we're coming from. And somewhere along the way, we start to mistake the noise of attention for the sound of meaning. But real freedom, it begins the moments you stop performing for the crowd. It starts when you stop dressing your truth in costumes just to keep your audience entertained. It happens when you finally realize that applause is not the same as acceptance, and being understood by everyone is not the same as being at peace with yourself. And it hurts, doesn't it, when the very same people who used to cheer for you suddenly look away because you decided to change the script. When the love that once felt so unconditional slowly turns into disappointment because you stopped playing the role they were comfortable with. That right there is the hidden cost of becoming your real self. Freedom strips away illusions, even the comforting ones. It demands that you grow beyond the version of yourself that made everyone else comfortable. And sometimes that means walking a lonely path through the echoing silence of fading approval. There's a moment that comes in every journey toward authenticity, where you realize you can't bring everyone with you. Not everyone is going to understand your silence. Not everyone is going to celebrate your growth. Some will call it arrogance. Others might even call it betrayal. But what it really is honesty. You simply can't carry everyone into your becoming. Think about it. Some people loved the version of you that existed solely to please them. The version that said yes when every fiber of your being wanted to scream no. The one that smiled through exhaustion, that apologized for existing too loudly, that bent itself out of shape just to fit neatly into someone else's story. And when you stop doing that, when you stop contorting yourself, they don't know how to love you anymore. Why? Because the version they loved never actually existed in the first place. It was a character you created just to be loved. So you start to lose people. But what you're really losing is not them. You're losing the desperate need to be needed by everyone. And that's what freedom costs. The approval of the crowd, the illusion of belonging somewhere you've outgrown, the safety of being liked by all. But what you gain in exchange is worth every quiet night, every unanswered message, every bit of distance that opens up between you and the life that used to define you. What you gain is yourself. And once you've tasted that divan for just a moment, you can never go back. Because absolutely nothing feels as exhilarating as belonging completely and utterly to yourself. You stop chasing permission. You stop begging to be understood. You start living with powerful intention instead of constant performance. From the outside, this freedom doesn't always look beautiful. Sometimes it looks like solitude. Sometimes it looks like walking away from everything and everyone familiar. Sometimes it looks like being profoundly misunderstood by the very people you love. But on the inside, it feels like taking your first real breath, like finally exhaling after holding your breath for years. Freedom asks you to disappoint others so you can finally stop disappointing yourself. It asks you to stop explaining your choices and start embodying them. It asks you to stop dimming your own light just to stay close to those who are afraid of your brightness. There is a special kind of peace that only comes when you stop trying to manage other people's perception of you. When you let them think whatever they need to think, and you just keep walking quietly, steadily, faithfully in your own direction. And yes, it will hurt. It will always hurt to outgrow the people and places that once made you feel so safe. But that pain is not a punishment, it's a passage. It's the feeling of your soul stretching beyond the borders of what it used to be. Freedom demands loss, because you cannot carry the weight of everyone else's expectations and still hope to fly. In that moment of release, there's no applause. There's no audience, no dramatic soundtrack, no grand revelation. There is just the quiet sound of your own footsteps and the faint, steady rhythm of a heart that is finally learned to beat for itself. So if you're feeling that unique loneliness that comes with Chingif, you're mourning the people who left when you started speaking your truth, please remember this. They didn't leave because you became worse. They left because you became real. Freedom will cost you everything that isn't truly yours to begin with. And that right there is the greatest gift. Because what is left after all the leaving is the one truth that will never abandon you. The quiet, unshakable certainty that no one else defines your worth. And the courage to stand alone, not as an act of rebellion, but as an act of reverence for your own becoming. Freedom hurts, but it's the kind of pain that ultimately heals everything else. Thank you so much for sharing this space with me today.